flag the event. They're going to stop the field, restart the race, and try and settle it.
Even though they know the track's probably dry, there's always that thought that it could be wet.
One problem is when a raindrop hits a windshield at 190 miles per hour, it's not a simple little raindrop. It spreads out and becomes about 6 inches. And we have a caution flag on the track.
Caution comes out. No question about it. It's because of the raindrops that we saw on Rusty Wallace's windshield. And you see him pointing up there. Nothing on the track. You want to know where the trouble is, it's overhead. So Sterling Marlin took the lead from Alan Kulwicki, remains there with 39 laps complete.
Everyone would start adjusting and changing tires. Remember, Gary Gerald mentioned they can't do it anymore. They cannot change tires on the caution flag. Be interesting to see if any of them will go in for fuel and chassis adjustments.
Yeah, now as the teams begin to figure that rule out, there are a lot of tactics that you can play with that thing. We're beginning to see more and more of it. We saw some of it in the ARCA race yesterday, and since in a lot of ways that's the R&D center for the Winston Cup cars, you may just see a repeat of that. We'll get into that in greater depth here in a little bit as the field comes up. Rusty Wallace says, hi, how are you? Hope you're having a good day. I am.
And look at Rusty's windshield right now, Paul. That's too much rain. We know why it went yellow for certain sure. The track wouldn't be good right now.
Take a look down there. You've got a red flag in the starter's hand.
That's not good news. That means that they're going to stop the cars and see if this rain is going to go away, Paul.
Well, the track is really wet right now, Paul and Benny. The car's just not going to drive it. There's the red coming out.
So that'll bring the field to a stop in the order that they are right now. Of course, the intention always of NASCAR is to run every lap scheduled, and they're going to make every attempt to do that today. But if for some reason they can't, the race would be called just beyond the halfway point, right?
It would. If right now, if they would not be able to restart the race, they would start the race tomorrow at lap 47 or whatever would be the first green flag lap.
And if they would continue running 164 laps, would become an official race. But we're hoping, as are the fans, and certainly the drivers and crews, and I suspect you at home, that we want to see an entire 328-lap, 500-mile run. As we take a look down through the top 10, the pace car has them on the backstretch. He'll begin to slow and slow and slow because the field being told now by their spotters, by two-way radio up on top of the grandstand here, that they will come to a stop when they come into the pits. Really a shame because we mentioned earlier that Bruton Smith had done a marvelous job putting this track together, brand new garage area, and boy does he have plans for the future. In fact, Benny Parsons, we may be sitting at this moment on what in a very short period of time is the backstretch.
They say in a couple of years this will be the backstretch, and the other side will be the front stretch, along with suites and hospitality areas. They're talking about spending $75 million here in the next few years.
And they brought a photograph in this morning with some of the plans that included, like at Charlotte, his other track, a marvelous condominium complex and everything. You think we can get a room over there?
I doubt it.
The pits would go to the other side, and there also would be the track. It would be another tri-oval with the racetrack going clear out into the parking area, or on the other side of the grandstand as we see it today, Paul.
So some changes ahead, and for the moment, static running as all the NASCAR inspectors come out to line that field up exactly where they want them. The crew's holding back for just a moment. With 47 laps complete, the Atlanta 500 will roll to a stop.
Well, indeed, Paul, and Les Richter was talking about what this computer is showing. They have officials here inside the NASCAR Control Center in the garage area watching this computer behind me. Now, we'll orient you a little bit here. In the very center is Atlanta. It's just south of Atlanta, 30 miles. That small dot right there toward Hampton, Georgia, that's Atlanta International Raceway or Atlanta Motor Speedway. Now, it is St. Patrick's Day, but this is not the kind of green we want to see. Take a look. This green here is severe thunderstorm. We are sequencing this radar as the thunderstorms begin to move across the racetrack area in Atlanta. Now, behind that area, up to the left here, there's a window. That's the window that Les Richter was talking about that possibly will give us a chance to get this race into halfway. So earlier today, the thunderstorms were moving across here. We're hoping this window would move back across the track within the next half an hour or so and give us a chance to get back underway. But certainly they are watching this radar very carefully, and currently we are right in the middle of this big St. Patrick's Day green-colored thunderstorm. Paul?
Well, it's raining all around us, but you can see there is a pretty good hole that lies just off to the west, and hopefully that'll drift across Atlanta here, and we will be back to racing. For the time being, though, they try and dry this track, and race fans, they're the greatest in the world. They're staying with it.
The weatherman just didn't cooperate with us. We couldn't get that window that we were working for or hoping for, and the rain has picked up here in the last 15-20 minutes. So we have postponed the event, and we'll restart the race at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning here at Atlanta International Raceway.
Of course, the bad news for us is that if we run it on a Monday, then we can't cover it here on ABC Sports. So we do apologize for that.
Push Davey. You can see the rain on the windshield now.
So Davey, he's also seeing that rain. He realizes all he's got to do is stay in front for just a couple more laps.
Protect that position.
Ernie's trying to get by on the inside. He may have him.
Oh, no, he couldn't do it then.
Jimmy Spencer almost lost it coming off the turn 4. Evidently the track is getting a little slick. As Ricky Rudd moves on the inside of Spencer. Takes the position away. Mark Martin gets by as well.
The yellow flag is out. The yellow flag is out.
So they're racing back to the line.
Here they come. Off the corner. Davey got really loose, but he held on to the lead.
Wow. And that's the signal when Doyle Ford is pointing to the sky. That's what the caution flag is for. Rain.
Now, they told us, or at least I heard, Ned, that when they said it was going to rain between 4 and 4:15, and they missed it by less than 5 minutes, that it probably would set into rain and rain for a while. And as you can see, the red flag has been displayed here at Bristol. The cars have been brought onto pit road. Now they are being moved down in between turns 1 and 2, where they will stay while this rain period is being waited out. Now, of course, this race could be halted at any moment. We are only 42 laps away from the end of this race. And now you can see Darrell Waltrip and Davey Allison having a discussion, as they had a meeting of their two cars earlier in the race that sent Darrell sliding through the front stretch.
Well, see, when you're Darrell Waltrip, you can get away with that kind of stuff, and all you got to do is look at the side of my race car right here. That's coming off of turn 2 and going into turn 3 with me on the outside, and we got down there, and I still had momentum up. I raced him. I went ahead and raced him. We come off the corner over there. He jumps up in front of me and backs out of the gas, and there wasn't nothing I could do. When I hit him, you know, then he comes over here mouthing off at me, but when you're Darrell Waltrip, it's okay, but anybody else, you're not.
You know, I'm really happy that he got penalized. He needed to be penalized, and he just spun me out. You know, it's tough out there today, and you have to use all the judgment you got, and you have to be careful, and you don't run into somebody and knock fire out of them on purpose. And he's had a little bit of a problem with me, and I don't know what it is. He gave me a finger last week down at Darlington. When I was laps down, I passed him, had 4 tires, and went on. Today he spun me out. We're going to have a little talk, I guess, father and son type.
Well, aside from that, I heard you telling someone else you got hit 9 times. It just seemed that everybody was a little bit over anxious out there, a little too impatient.
The pit rules have got everybody so frustrated right now that you just have to do stupid things. You get hung up on the outside. I've got a fast race car. I need to be up front. I'm hung up on the outside every time, and I get booted up in that loose stuff and either hit the wall or run over somebody or wreck. And so this is the hardest mentally race I believe I have ever tried to run. I started 22nd. I'm pitting on the back straightaway. That's bad enough, and then the pit rule just makes it worse. So I just pray to God that they'll get this thing straightened out. It is killing a lot of us.
Waltrip on the low side of the 33-degree banking, runs right alongside Dale Earnhardt, and Jimmy Spencer goes right to the back bumper of Darrell Waltrip as they drop down the backstretch. Tremendous side-by-side racing and a crash. Mark Martin's car lifts off the ground but does not go over, but this crash is going to involve several cars.
You see Hut Strickland in the mud. There's on the outside, and they're running.
It was bound to happen. Lake's speed is damaged badly, so is Rusty Wallace. The Sunoco car of Terry Labonte on the right side of your screen is damaged. The race for the Caution flag comes down.
Three-fourths of the field wiped out.
Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt, and Earnhardt had the advantage by about a bumper. Look at this. Looks like a parking lot. Looks like a junkyard back in the backstretch. Jimmy Means. There is Wally Dallenbach Jr. and Mark Martin's Fords that have been heavily damaged in this crash. And Mark Martin's car got way up off the ground.
We saw those strips coming off the roof of the that was the outside windshield strips that hold the windshield in.
Watch Ernie Irvan.
Yeah. And Ernie Irvan got into Kyle Petty. That was the first thing that happened.
And watch we see the windshield fly to these automobiles as they turn backwards.
And then several cars become involved, sliding into that wet grass and into the mud puddles. There's Hut Strickland throwing up a big spray as his Buick moved through. Rick Mass slides through the wet grass.
Bill Elliott might have drove through there. There was Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace looking at their cars, trying to figure out how much damage there is.
There's Davey Allison in the pit. He has extensive damage to the front end of that Haviland Ford. And the pit crew going to work for it. Mark Martin's car is on the hook, or just about to be. He was one of those that... there is Wally Dallenbach Jr., who is out of his car. We may go to red here because the backstretch is essentially blocked. You can see there at the end of the backstretch, there are cars all over the place, not only in the grass, but also on the racetrack itself. There's Dale Jarrett's car up against the wall at the end of the backstretch. Chad Little is out of his car. That's Kyle Petty's number 42. I don't think he is out of the car yet.
We saw Kyle's hand come up out of the car. Meanwhile, I guess they are going to red flag the race.
Well, I don't know. The yellow is still out, but they are leading him down pit road.
Jimmy Means there stuck in the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac trying to get out.
By the way, the red flag has come out. The field has been stopped here on pit road as the drivers gather together to try to talk about what happened that has knocked everybody out of this race. There are only about, 15, 18 cars that made it through. A replay from the in-car of Hut Strickland.
He's hard on the gas. All of a sudden, something hit the windshield. See, the windshield stays in the car. That's the strap we were talking about. And we saw all the water that it went through.
It wanted to pop out, but it didn't because of those straps. Now here's the other in-car carried by Lake Speed, Phillips 66 in-car camera.
There we see the contact. Just a little bit of the windshield pops out, but those braces are holding that windshield, a major part of the windshield in.
And the view from Dale Jarrett's car.
Watch Mark Martin way up in the air. See, Dale almost got through, but then he got hit and knocked him right into the wall. That camera continues to work, though.
You know, Ned, that crumpled hood is altogether too much. I mean, it's becoming too familiar.
It really is on that 21 car.
And there's nothing he could do about it.
There is a lot of tore-up race cars here at Talladega. An accident on the backstretch has eliminated about, as close as we can. Yeah, about 14 or so race cars. 21 have made it back to pit road and are under a red flag condition, but others are being dragged off the race car on the back of wreckers. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Ernie Irvan has climbed out of the Kodak Chevrolet, and Ernie's fortunate that you're okay. What went on back there? What happened?
Well, everybody started getting 2 and 3 wide, and when you get 3 wide, then they come off the corner, and whoever's kind of stuck in the middle, which was me, they get up and they pinch you off. And what happened was I was in between the 6 and in between the 42, and they both started to come together to go together down the back straightaway. And I was there, and they both got me. One got me in the left front, one got me in the right front. Turned both them sideways and just all spinning.
Do you have any control of the car at all with the plate? Is there any throttle response? Do you have a chance of getting the car back when that happens at these speeds?
Well, no matter what, if it had plate or an open motor right then, I don't think it would make any difference as far as gathering the car back up. But, the plate doesn't necessarily get us in those big bunches. It's everybody trying to lead a lap or get towards the front. And, the best place to be is in the front because that's where the less action is as far as wrecks. And that's where we were trying to stay all day. But, you just couldn't get the guys to stay in line.
A crash occurred that left an indelible mark on the minds of race fans and drivers alike. It involved 22 cars in all. It resulted in injury to Kyle Petty, kept him sidelined for 11 races. And criticism toward Ernie Irvan.
Too many people racing too close together, and you know, it's this early in the race. That's stupid.
That accident shouldn't have happened, but it did.
Being impatient. That causes more wrecks than anything else. People saying, well, you shouldn't be passing at this time of the race. That's baloney. I think what's happened here is that Ernie has got the reputation for causing wrecks.
He's sort of got that stigma now, and if he's on the same straightaway, it's his fault.
And now anytime he's even close to a wreck or a wreck happens, then everybody, including the people in the garage area and the people in the fans, start pointing at Ernie.
At the time, I really didn't understand what had happened. I went home and watched it on the film. Hey, I was the one to prevent that wreck. I'm an aggressive race car driver, and you know, that's the sort of things that's made NASCAR Winston Cup racing so great.
And the fellow that's up front is Jimmy Spencer, the hometown boy here. And evidently, Bob, I didn't watch, we couldn't, everybody was on pit road at the same time, but he apparently only took on 2 tires, and I'm sure that Travis Carter, his owner and crew chief, looked at those skies over there and said, hey, it might rain before that green flag comes back out. Let's throw the dice here and gamble a little bit. Well, I don't know how it'll pay off because that green flag is about to come out again. If he only has 2 tires, we've already seen what can happen as far as that is concerned, but we understand that maybe there's going to be another lap of yellow.
And maybe could that be because rain is being felt in parts of the racetrack? Spencer may have, they may have called it right here because our cameramen and spotters have indicated that it is sprinkling in some areas of the racetrack.
Yeah, there you can see it.
There we go. Well, in any case, it is definitely threatening here, and the weather forecast was for scattered showers and thunderstorms late this afternoon. And it's now almost 10 minutes of 3 Eastern time, so they're just about on schedule if they predicted them at the mid to late afternoon point. And so the pace truck will turn on its lights and go back out onto the track and keep the field under caution. And right now it is raining hard enough that the NASCAR officials have decided to keep the race under caution at this moment.
Well, that's a beautiful trophy. Of course, a lot of money goes with it, and even more than that, though, the prestige and the satisfaction of winning a Winston Cup race.
We are going red, I do believe. By the way, Jimmy Spencer won a modified race here at Pocono, the Race of Champions, in 1983. The race is being stopped because of rain. So, Ned, we may have this situation playing out here. Jimmy Spencer may have won his first Winston Cup race. Now, they're not going to postpone this race or call it off for a while, so don't go away. We could resume the action here, but for the moment, Jimmy Spencer leading this event, and the red flag coming out because of rain.
Yeah, I think it would have to rain for a couple of hours before NASCAR would call it off. They'll just wait to see if this cloud moves over, and I should say cloud. There are clouds in the sky, and see if it moves over and the rain stops, and see if they can get it restarted.
We are back at Pocono International Raceway, where the event has been stopped because of rain.
Well, the safety vehicles have been put out on the racetrack to have as much of a drying effect as they can, as the cars have been brought in on pit road. You can see the safety vehicles there now coming around, and the rain, as you said, is still not falling hard, but too much to race.
No, the track I would not consider to be very wet at this point, and if it doesn't rain anymore in the next few minutes, it's going to be okay, but we don't know. Still a very enthusiastic crowd remains here at Pocono as the rain continues to fall, but even our jackalope has found some shelter inside the back of a van. And so the rain continues here. Again, it's still not raining very hard, but it has rained hard enough to wet the track down, so it's going to be quite a while before we can resume this event. Okay. There's another animal.
Yeah, that's a cute one on the right side.
We found even another animal lurking the grounds of Pocono International Raceway as a Dale Earnhardt fan has dressed her teddy bear appropriately. We are under a rain delay here at the Champion Sparkplug 500. As you can see, it is raining quite hard now, and the track is very wet. Let's take a look at the entire field rundown. First 5, Jimmy Spencer, Ricky Rudd is second, then Rick Wilson, Morgan Shepherd, and Harry Gant running 5th.
Well, Harry Gant went from 4th to 7th in the Winston Cup points last week. He was hoping to make that up today, and he's staying dry here with a lot of fellow crew members and a lot of Harry Gant race fans here behind us.
Harry Gant is 5th right now as the field sits on pit road getting rained on, as everyone is who isn't under shelter, because the Champion Sparkplug 500 has been rain delayed. It is quite wet here in the Pocono Mountains. Some spectators who are appropriately dressed for the weather. The rain is falling down, and they could very easily go swimming in some parts of Pocono International Raceway. You can see how heavy it has rained, and the track is very, very wet now, so it'll be at least an hour and a half or 2 hours before we can get the track dry, but we're stopped raining right now. Let's go back down to Smurfland underneath a blue canopy and Dr. Jerry Punch with Mark Martin.
And I won't tell you what we were talking about during the commercial, folks, but we're having some fun down here. And of course, the drivers have to relax a little bit during these rain delays. Maybe it is a delay. Maybe it's going to be over with.
Jimmy, they say you think it might be too wet to race out there. I was trying anything I could. You know, we're setting up here with the Banquet Frozen Foods Planner Chevrolet. It felt good. I think we led the longest time today. Not the most last, but the longest. But, you know, we took a chance. I owe Travis Carter a lot this year. We've been running strong. And he took a heck of a chance. Put fuel in to back out and lead this race. If it rained, we were heroes. We're not now.
Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, they are caught between the rock and a hard place here in the Rusty Wallace pit. They can run as long as possibly 177 laps under green. They were planning on pitting on lap 176, but now with the rain and the caution flag now being shown to the field, it's really going to put them in a quandary. They may be able to squeeze a little extra mileage out of this car with the reduced speed under caution, but they're going to do some quick calculating here in the Miller Genuine Draft pits.
You can see Doyle Ford waving the yellow and pointing toward the sky so as to indicate that the reason for his yellow flag is rain.
But Rusty Wallace did not take the caution flag. He did not take the caution flag the last time, so he must outrun the 6-car Mark Martin back to the line, and so far that seems to be no problem.
And a report from John Kernan.
Mark Martin and his crew were planning to stay out until lap 182. They are not going to pit under this caution. I asked Steve Meal what their plan was. He pointed out to the racetrack. We're staying out on the racetrack regardless of what this rain does.
So Rusty Wallace now comes down and gets the yellow flag, slowing the pace of the event once again. And look how windy it's become in the past few months.
Tell you what, Doyle looks like that flag may blow right out of his hands. It is really windy out there.
Flags are standing straight out, and a lot of dust has been kicked up out in the turn number 1 area. Now, we indicated earlier how dry it is here. They haven't received a significant rainfall in quite a while, thus making conditions rather dry here, and the heavy, strong winds have really kicked up some dust.
So every farmer in Rusty Wallace is hoping it rains.
That's right. As a matter of fact, I believe, that the most recent significant rainfall that they had was at this race in June.
Did you say they're going to stop them, Neil?
They're going to stop them next lap. They're going to allow 2 men and a generator only to the car. So I'm going to head up and get Brewer right quick while they get these cars stopped.
I tell you, Rusty and them's got to be glad of that because they can't go much farther on fuel.
Well, they can go to 182. My car
really?
just told me they could, well, under caution.
Oh,
if it had gone green, they'd have had to stop by 177, but they can go 182 under the caution. But then as soon as they restart them, they're going to have to get it. They're going to have to get on pit road for fuel. I'm on my way up to get Brewer.
Hey, Neil, get a shot of the 28. Look at the 28 pit down there. Is that thinking or what?
Yeah.
I had never.
Several of them.
They did that here in June.
That's keeping their pit dry just in case they have to make another pit stop. Rusty's.
It's raining at Pocono International Raceway, interrupting our Miller Genuine Draft 500, and Davey Allison's crew is among many that are bringing out the tarps and putting it down in their pit area so as to keep that area dry from the rain that's falling. And so when things go back to racing, they will have a nice dry pit area. You can see many of the teams employing the same strategy.
That is very, very intelligent. I have never seen that before.
There's Jack Roush and Steve Meal as they talk over the situation regarding their driver, Mark Martin, who right now is in second position as the field will come down this time and receive the red flag, putting a halt to this race.
Rusty Wallace is leading. Mark Martin is second. Jeff Bodine third. Hut Strickland is fourth. Sterling Marlin fifth. Dale Jarrett sixth. Ernie Irvin seventh. Brett Bodine is eighth. And Chad Little is ninth. And that is the only 9 cars on the lead lap. Bill Elliott lost a lap on his pit stop. He's in 10th place.
And to make it very clear that just because the field is receiving the red flag from Doyle Ford and stopping this race, it doesn't mean that it's over. NASCAR will make every attempt to get the track dry and to complete the last 25 laps of this race. But if, of course, they see that they cannot do that before darkness comes in, then the race can be declared an official event at this point because it is past the halfway point. And you can see the fans beginning to find their way toward their cars, as many believe that this race will not be resumed. As we look back over the wooded area off the racetrack, we can see the rain falling over there too. And here comes the field down through the pit road. They're following the pace truck, and this will be the end of the race. The checkered flag is being displayed now by Doyle Ford, a yellow and a checkered flag simultaneously. And Rusty Wallace has won in the Miller Genuine Draft sponsored car, the Miller Genuine Draft 500. It's been an afternoon of crashes, a lot of crashes in the first half of the race. No driver was injured, however. Then we got into a rain situation that delayed this event by more than 2 hours. With 24 laps to go and the track finally dry, the cars were put out on the racetrack. But just as they went out on the track, it began to rain again. They ran 3 laps, and Rusty Wallace was able to nurse his car home and win this Miller Genuine Draft 500. Speed increasing once again. Second gear.
And here's trouble, big trouble here in turn 5.
Oh, a car is upside down.
Bob, there are 2 cars. They came in here so fast, and one of them did hit the other one and did get upside down. Both of them hit very, very hard.
There is major damage to the wall, as you can see, and of course our major concern is the condition of J.D. McDuffie. The other car involved is Jimmy Means, and he is already out of his car.
Yeah, Ned, I don't know what happened. You know, I've been looking. J.D.'s been in my mirror the whole time, and you know, I was kind of watching him. He's running really good, and I don't know where I cut down on him or he come in there, lost his brakes or what. But next thing I knew, it, you know, hit me in the side. I hope he's all right. You know, he took a pretty bad leg there.
Jerry and Bill, I regret to inform you that J.D. McDuffie has passed away. He was 53 years old. Of course, our hearts right now was his wife, Ima Jean, and his children, Jeff and Linda, and it's really a pretty sad day right now.
J.D. McDuffie was in his 653rd Winston Cup race. He had never won a Winston Cup event. But just last night, ironically enough, at Owego, New York, at Shangri-La Speedway, J.D. McDuffie was involved in a celebrity race. And J.D. McDuffie, driving the 07 car, believe it or not, took the checkered flag first and won that race just down the road from Watkins Glen International, where his career ended today. JD got out of the car with his son Jeff watching and received the applause and the congratulations of all of those in the grandstand. JD McDuffie leaves his wife Jean and 2 children, Jeff and Linda. And our sincere condolences to all of the McDuffie family from all of us here at ESPN.
Gene, I know exactly what you're going through, sweetheart. And you fans out there, you wonder how these guys can get in these cars and go back out and restart this race. Hey, it's their job. It's what they do. There's 100,000 people here this afternoon to watch them do that job. There's not a one of these drivers that wants to be in that race car right now. They want to be in the garage area, hugging their wife, their girlfriend, their mom, their crew members, whoever. I don't want to be here now. I want to be over there looking at Ned and looking at Bob and just not saying anything. But we've got a job to do, and that's to report to you who wins, who loses, and what happens during the day. Gene, we all love you, and we're sorry.